It's Easter, a time of renewal, a bit of watery sunlight beginning to penetrate the clouds. And in that spirit, I thought I'd start with just a small amount of optimism, for once. That mad period from when I took over as political editor at the new Statesman more than a year ago, right the way through to now, it's been turmoil, tumult, revolt, embarrassment, scandal, a sort of clownish period in our politics.
Prime Minister, you're out of your depth, aren't you, Prime Minister? You're out of your depth.
No more distractions, we have a plan, and we need to get on and deliver it.
Which I found, frankly, a little bit embarrassing. And on the national stage, it was humiliating. And I think it is now over. Whatever you think of Sunak and Hunt, or whatever you think of Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, the main parties are now in the hands of sober, responsible, careful people who are trying to focus on what needs to be done in the relatively short term. In short, the grown-ups are back. And I think that is something to celebrate, frankly. I think this period when we've thought that British politics was a peculiar national perversion, something that the rest of the country justifiably got angry about on a daily basis, all of that might be beginning to come to an end. That is probably the limit of my optimism, because I think what we're going to see, therefore, is two main parties, and indeed the Liberal Democrats, all clustered around a relatively small area of relatively centrist politics. And that's because of outside constraints, really. It's now impossible, after the pandemic and after the Ukraine war and the inflation shock, for a British government to radically slash taxes, slash spending. It can't be done. There's no more slashing to be done. Or raise taxes, raise spending, because we're already at a historic high in terms of tax take in the post-war period. We've even got the Labour Party just ahead of Easter making its local election offer freezing council taxes. So neither party is going to be able to pursue a radically new economic course. Neither party is suggesting going back into the European Union. Neither party is suggesting any big change in our rather weak web of alliances with the United States and the rest of the world, the Indo-Pacific trade deal. There is no big lurch to be done. And so I think the next period is going to be sober, but it's not going to be a period of any great political heroism or upsets. I should never say that, because an upset will come tomorrow, but that's how it feels right at the moment. If you think of what's going to come over the next 10 or 20 years, our lives are going to be utterly transformed by artificial intelligence, AI, which is going to penetrate every aspect of life, and by the desperate need for really effective, price-sensitive green technology to damp down global warming. And that means, for instance, particularly solar energy, which is being developed at scale and at speed in China. Now, AI is coming from the States and to a lesser extent from China. The big changes in green technology are coming from China. And I think the chances of us onshoring, doing all that stuff, doing our own AI, doing our own cutting-edge green technology are very, very limited. We are going to be an importing country when it comes to ideas and technology, at least for the next 20 years or so. There's a lot of talk about a new great sort of silicon fen between Cambridge and Oxford, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. These things may happen, but they're going to take a long time to actually start to bed in. And we've seen this week the British government suggesting that they're going to go for light touch on artificial intelligence because of the terrifying impact of AI, unregulated, unthought through, something that Elon Musk and the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, and many, many others are publicly complaining about. This seems absolutely the wrong time for us to be offering light touch regulation. It is the wrong lesson from Brexit. We can improve our ability to feed ourselves. We can improve our resilience to climate change, lots and lots of hot summers, the water in the wrong place in England, and all of those issues over time. But the idea that we are going to be able to keep the big forces around the world at bay is clearly fatuous. So we are a hemmed-in country. We're not going to be a great state which carves a different destiny in the world. That era is long gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, rule Britannia! Rule Britannia!
So in the context of Westminster, beginning at least to heal itself, and there are lots of bumps on the road, I'm sure, and the main parties being clustered around quite a constrained middle ground political debate, you might think it's pretty dreary. You might think this is Britain on the way down. I would put to you that if we lose this post-imperial and rather traumatic illusion of being one of the world's great powers and wanting to be considered almost alongside the United States or someone else, if we get rid of that and we say, no, what we want to do is we want to be an ordinary, well-run country, then I think there is a lot of upside in that, a lot of sunlight in that. The days when we used to look down on the Irish or the Danes or the Dutch are gone. Do we envy them these days? Yes, we do envy them a bit these days. To get back to being a relatively well-run social democratic polity without huge international pretensions, I think would be very good for us and would make us, generally speaking, a happier country. So where does this leave us right at the end? It certainly leaves us with the sense that things are much better at Westminster than they have been for a very long time indeed, and a general sense of reality and normality returning. It leaves us understanding that we can't completely radically reshape our society in the short term. But it leaves us also with a series of, I think, incredibly important small-scale jobs that Westminster and politics must now focus on and will matter to all of us. And they include pressing back against low-level crime. They include cleaning up our filthy rivers and beaches. They include improving air quality, and they certainly include a really radical new building programme to ensure that the generation who have been shut out of the British housing market are let back in again. These things would make a real difference, and in my view, that's where politics now needs to go.